going to tell you a story. There's an old Chinese story about a potter who spends his entire life perfecting the most exquisite glaze imaginable. And at the end of his life, deciding that his meaningful life is over, he walked into the kiln and disappears into the fire. The next day, the potter's assistants open up the kiln and take out the pots. And they're covered with the most exquisite glaze imaginable. But the potter has disappeared. And that's the story. I hate this story. Is it a good story or is it a bad story? The entrepreneurs get it. The entrepreneurs in the room will sit there and say, I get it. I will work ceaselessly, endlessly, because I'm going to build the next Airbnb. Or I'm going to save people back home. Or I'm going to create meaning and purpose. But it's not just the entrepreneurs in the room who get it. I'm looking at my fellow ex-investors and current investors. We get it. We get it. I want the most exquisite glaze imaginable. I want my assistants to open up the kiln and take out a miraculous product. I'll tell you about my journey into the kiln. Some of you may know that I was an investor in the 1990s, back when you were like not even born. No, just kidding. Early 2000s. There's a guy named Fred Wilson. You may have heard of him. He's an old friend of mine. He and I started a venture firm in the 1990s, 1996, called Flatiron Partners. One of our investees was a guy, Steve Kane. We invested in Gainesville in 1999. Tagline of which was wasting your time since 1996. Largest bingo site on the web. Made a lot of money with that guy. I was, as New York Magazine called me, a prince of New York. Fred and I, not true by the way, Fred and I single-handedly revitalized the New York tech community. Bullshit, but that's okay. Felt good. One day, I flew from New York to California, had a board meeting, got on a plane, flew back to New York. You know what I'm talking about. Because I could do that. I was a prince. I was a master of the universe. I walked into the house. And my now 24-year-old daughter, Emma, was at the top of the stairs. I looked up at her, and I fainted. And before I went down, I heard her say, "Mommy, Mommy, Daddy's dead." Mommy, Mommy, Daddy's dead. She didn't understand about exquisite glazes. Or her dad, a master of the universe. She just knew Daddy died. I kind of ignored the signs and continued on my way. Mark, I'm going to tell that story. February 2nd, 2002. Flatiron is closed down. I'm in the midst of a depression, but I'm ignoring it. I walk out of an Olympic bid committee meeting, because I was running the Olympic bid effort for New York. I'm standing in front of the smoldering pile that is ground zero, and I want to jump in front of a subway train. Master of the universe, King of New York, all of the dreams, 38, hollow inside. I called my therapist, who said, get in a cab, come out and see me. And as I said to Mark before, it was either the lowest point in my life, or actually it was both, the lowest point in my life and the beginning of my coming out. And if you will, learning to stand still. Discovering what is in you is difficult. In my company, I came up with this formula years ago. Practical skills. So I coach people. I coach entrepreneurs, I coach investors, I coach people. I help them be better leaders. You want to know the secret? I get them in touch with being human. Because better humans make better leaders. They all come in looking for practical skills. How the hell do I do my job? Or how do I have work-life balance? And I send them into this. Radical self-inquiry. Radical, I'm going to curse, Mark, because no bullshit. Radical, because the process of self-deception, if I only have enough money, then I will feel safe. Right? Becomes skillfully and compassionately stripped away so that there's no mask anymore. That's putting it mildly. To really look deeply in the mirror is scary. I've been there. I am there. We're not trained to do this. Remember the words of Jesus. Pema Chodron, one of my Buddhist teachers, says, the essence of bravery is being without self-deception. Would that all of our leaders, political and otherwise, were able to be without self-deception. To see ourselves as we truly are. Mess and loveliness and gorgeousness and joy and happiness and sadness and all of it in one fell, gorgeous meat bag known as you. To see and accept that and lead from that place and go forth from that place. But standing still is scary. Too often we conflate motion with meaning. You know how busy I am? I'm so busy that I can get on a plane and fly to California and fly back in a day. Superman. Huh? What? What are you doing? Why? Why are you walking into the fire? I don't care if you're walking into the fire. Enjoy walking into the fire. Know why you're walking into the fire. Are you doing it to run away from something? Are you doing it to make yourself safe? I've often said that the sole cause of man's unhappiness is that he does not know how to stay quietly in his room. Because who do we encounter when we sit quietly in the room? Ourselves. Maybe the scariest person around. But standing still, sitting quietly in your room, creates freedom. Disappear into the fire. Be my guest. Just come out of it. And then learn to sit quietly. Thank you.